Good morning, boys and girls. I've got the last book reading for the term this morning. It's a book that I bought for my family from book club this month, and it's called The ANZAC Tree by Christina Booth. And I've just flicked it open to have a look, and I've noticed that one of the characters is actually called Percy, and my son's name is Percy. So you might hear some noise in the background about that. I live on a big farm a long way from anywhere. We have sheep, wheaten cows, chickens, my dog Shep, and a cat called Toffee. I like to climb the big hill and look out at forever. Percy and Roy like to climb up here too. Before they left, they planted 2 trees. To remember us by, said Percy. Roy and Percy are on the other side of the world, fighting the Great War. Roy's tree is getting bigger, but Percy's tree isn't doing very well. I promised, I whisper as I water them. It says, my name is Philip. I am 9 years old. This is our farm. It is called Potterdale. Mum always prays for sun and wind on wash day. You can see some washing hanging out at their house there. I help with the milking after school. This is me and Shep. Roy and Percy sent us these before they left. Photos of themselves in uniform. Good. Mum started to cry when she saw the Reverend come up the path. After he left, Dad still had to go out and milk the cows. Someone has to. The Reverend is a minister or a priest from a church who has probably brought some bad news about somebody. I want Percy to be at home with us, milking the cows with Dad, helping with the shearing. He was the best shearer in the shed. I like how he smelled of wool. I hide under the veranda with Toffee. She doesn't understand that Percy is never coming home. His tree died too. Very sad. When we heard Roy coming down the road, we ran out to meet him. He smells different, not like the farm anymore. Mum cried again, and the dogs barked a lot. Anzac Day is for remembering. I will never forget Percy. Percy is buried with his mates in France. They say they will never grow old. On Anzac Day, the anniversary of the day our soldiers landed at Gallipoli, we climbed up the hill to remember Percy. They sent medals for Roy and Percy. I wish Percy was here to see them. Okay. My name is Kenan. I'm 10 years old. I can't see, so Uncle Roy lifts me onto his shoulder so I can see Dad as he marches by. Dad's a soldier, just like Uncle Roy was. Uncle Roy is sad about Dad going away to fight Mr. Hitler, but I think it is exciting. I will miss him, though. I wave goodbye. I really miss Dad. I wish he would come home. Auntie Mary has joined up to be a nurse in the army. This is her new uniform. Mum is knitting lots of socks for Dad and the other soldiers. We haven't heard from Dad in a while. I think his letters might get lost on a big ship. I keep writing to him. We haven't heard from Dad in weeks, and now Cousin Mary is going away as an army nurse. I know Mum's upset. She knits new socks for Dad every night while I have to wear lumpy darned ones. I like to sit under Uncle Roy's tree and wait for Dad to come home. My name is Sophie. I am 8 years old. Auntie Mary came over to visit with the twins, Joy and Macy, so I've come up to the pine tree. I like to think about my dad in Korea. Dad shouldn't have to go away again. That's what Mum says. He fought in Japan when I was a baby. I miss my dad. I want him to come home. Says the twins haven't met Uncle Joe yet. He's away in Korea with Daddy. This is Daddy's medal from the Second World War. This is Mummy and Daddy and me before we went away to Korea. When Dad and Uncle Joe came home, I watched them march in the ANZAC Day Parade. I'm glad they are home safe. My name is Emily. I'm 11 years old. I love listening to my records. Kevin said I could look after his Beatles records while he is away. I don't like Kevin's new haircut. I think long hair is groovy. Lots of people are protesting about the war in Vietnam. I like collecting swap cards. These ones are my favourite. This is the tree Dad's Uncle Roy planted at Grandad's farm before he went away to war. We all watched Kevin's birthday number pulled out on TV last week. Now the letter has arrived to say he has to fight in the war in Vietnam. Mum's really worried. We have watched the war on the news. My friend Janelle says it isn't cool to be a soldier, but if Kevin doesn't go, he could go to jail. Gosh. Kevin doesn't want to go to the ANZAC parade this year, so we drive out to visit the farm instead. We climb the big hill at Grandpa's farm and watch the sun come up and have billy tea under the big tree. Kevin has nightmares. He says he can still hear the helicopters. I like Kevin's new girlfriend. Bin is Vietnamese. I hope they get married. It was good when the war ended. Kevin has a medal, but he says he doesn't want it. This is my cousin Jenny. She's in the Navy. This is Jenny's ship, the HMAS Sydney. My name is Christopher, Chris for short. I'm 10. Tonight they announced the war on the news. Mum and Dad told me Jenny is going to Iraq. She's in the Navy. She used to babysit me before she joined up. I don't even know where Iraq is. I really like Jenny. I hope she'll be all right. She's great at tennis. I wonder if she can play tennis on the ship. We had to find Iraq on the map for homework. And there it is, right in the middle there, in the Middle East. Today we saw Jenny in the ANZAC parade. After the parade, we went out to the farm and had a picnic under the tree Grandpa's Uncle Roy planted. Dad even shot his rifle into the air after we had a minute's silence. Then we had sausages, ANZAC biscuits, and billy tea. I don't like billy tea, but the sausages were yum. My name is Jack. I'm 12 years old. I live on a farm called Potterdale. This is a very old photo of my great-great-grandfather Roy. He went to war a long time ago. Mum says I have his nose. These are our dogs Bluey and Tiger. They help bring the cows up at milking time. Once a week after I finish my homework and help with the cows, I get to talk to Dad. He's in Afghanistan. We talk on the computer. I tell him there is a special surprise in the parcel Mummy's sending him. I wish he could come home for his birthday, but he says it will be better that he comes home for Christmas. I'm counting the days. Friday is my favourite day. I talk to Dad on the computer. When he comes home, every day will be my favourite. Dad found a field with poppies. The buildings are beautiful. This is a mosque. This is Kenan, the army dog in Dad's unit. Dad emailed me some photos from Afghanistan. I wish Dad was here when we won Best Merino at the show. He is so proud. I emailed him a photo with Uncle Pete and Cousin Chris. They both work on the farm as well. It's ANZAC Day. Everyone is coming to the farm for a special service and picnic under the tree that my great-great-grandfather Roy planted 100 years ago. Roy's brother Percy planted one as well, but it died. So today I'm helping to plant a new tree where his once was. Percy died in that war, but my dad has come home safe from Afghanistan. Dad says war isn't something to be proud of, but being brave enough to fight in them to protect other people is. I stand on top of the hill and imagine what the world looked like when Roy and Percy planted their trees. I wonder if they could look out at forever. Then there's some information here. So World War I went from 1914 to 1918. This story was inspired by the story of Percy and Roy Pinner, who went to fight in this war. They planted 2 trees as a memento of their journey. Percy was killed and buried in France. His tree also died. Roy's tree still stands on top of a hill at Patterdale Farm in Deddington, Tasmania. It is known as Pinner's Pine. Now the community gathers there for ANZAC Day services. ANZAC stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. The first ANZAC Day was held in 1916. Then World War II went from 1939 to 1945. World War II started when Germany, under the leadership of Adolf Hitler, invaded Poland. The war came to Australia when Japan attacked Darwin and also the eastern coast and sent their submarines into Sydney Harbour. Nurses and soldiers went to Europe and to parts of Asia to serve their country. Many men and women died protecting Australia's freedom and that of other countries. Letters to and from home took a long time to travel back and forth. The Korean War was 1950 to 1953. Many Australian soldiers went away to fight in Korea. Some were those who just missed out on being able to enlist in the forces for the Second World War or who had joined the war late. They were still young enough to fight in this war. Vietnam War was 1962 to 1975. The Vietnam War was very unpopular. Many Australians protested in marches, singing anti-war songs and refusing to fight. A conscription lottery using birthday numbers was introduced. If your birthday was drawn, you had to go to war. If you refused, you could go to jail. Soldiers who fought in the Vietnam War didn't feel very welcome when they came home, and many refused to go to the ANZAC Day services and parades. Conscription ended when Australian troops were withdrawn from Vietnam. The Gulf War in Iraq, 1990 to 1991. The war in the Gulf was short, but it was connected to other continuing events in the area. It was fought mainly over oil. In the story, Jenny, Chris's cousin, is in the Navy. By this time, women were allowed into the armed forces. And then Afghanistan, 2001 to 2014. More than 26,000 Australians served in this war, both as professional servicemen and women and as reservists. When the Army needs more soldiers and staff, they call on the Army Reserves. Wow, what a good book. That just spans generations and has so much information about all of the wars and just a good perspective on how soldiers, men and women going away to war can affect families for many, many years. You might like to talk to your mum and dad about what we've read today, and they can probably explain a bit more than I can here on a video. But I really enjoyed sharing that with you for the first time. So that's The ANZAC Tree by Christina Booth. Thank you very much, boys and girls. If you do end up making copies over the holidays, like the video I showed you, please continue to share them on our Google Classroom wall, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.